Welcome back to the Wellbody podcast. Today's conversation is one that I know so many women need to hear, and honestly, it's a topic that is still so misunderstood, undereducated, and often overlooked when it comes to women's health, and that is pelvic floor health. We talk a lot about training, nutrition, hormones, gut health, but this piece of the puzzle is something that so many women are navigating silently or just accepting as quote-unquote normal when it really doesn't have to be. I'm joined today by the incredible Kirsten, a New Zealand-based personal trainer who specializes in pre- and postnatal health with a deep focus on helping women truly understand and support their pelvic floor. Kirsten isn't just working with women directly, she's also an educator, teaching other personal trainers and health professionals how to better support women in their training and overall health. And she's actually been awarded Educator of the Year through the New Zealand Fitness Awards, not once, but twice, which just speaks volumes to the impact she's having in this space. In today's episode, we're diving into what the pelvic floor actually is, why it matters so much for every woman, not just the mums, and how it connects to things like strength training, breath, core function, and overall well-being. We're also unpacking some of the biggest myths, what's actually quote-unquote normal versus what's common, and what you can start doing to better support your body. This is such an empowering conversation, and one that I truly believe will help you feel more connected, more informed, and more in tune with your body. So let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Kirsten. Thank you so much for jumping on and being here with me today. It's lovely to see you as always. We're going to actually start today with a bit of an icebreaker, with a bit of a myth-busting Q&A. So you can just either say true or false, or you can elaborate it on a little bit more if you wish to. So what are the biggest myths around pelvic floor health? What's the biggest one you would say?
Well, I've got two.
Yep.
That's okay.
Absolutely.
One of them is that it's only women who have either aged or have had a child will have pelvic floor health issues.
Love that. Yeah.
And the other one is that once you've had children, you're going to have to live with those pelvic floor dysfunction issues forever because you've had children.
Yeah, I feel like I hear that one a lot. Oh, it's just normal. Can't jump on the trampoline because I've had kids. Or I'm so young, I don't need to worry about my pelvic floor. Yeah, I love those. Are Kegels always the answer?
No.
Love that. Can your pelvic floor be too tight, not just weak?
Yes.
Is just do more core actually helping or making things worse?
Worse. Yeah, because we have to ask questions. All of these myths, it's like ask the question.
Yeah.
Why do more core? What is the issue? What kind of core are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you doing your core? All of these, the questions need to be asked. And there's working with us amazing wahine is not a black and white situation.
No.
So what works for you doesn't work for me necessarily. And just because an influencer did XYZ and supposedly got a result, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for me or that it's right for me.
And it just comes back to the whole, like, this is such an individualized journey, right? Because you'll see so many workouts on Instagram or TikTok, and this influencer's like, do this core restore workout and you'll have a great pelvic floor. And it's like, that's probably not going to work for majority of people that do it because they don't even know where they're at and where to begin with their pelvic floor. And we see it everywhere. And it's frustrating when you're a health professional. Anyway, let's move into talking about you. Tell us a bit more about who you are and what got you into the pelvic floor.
What got me into
I
say dumb stuff like that too.
I love that.
I don't want to see the pelvic floor. I don't put rubber gloves on.
No, but I guess your passion for this part of the body.
Yes. Okay. I am a mum of 3. Eldest, I'm just planning her 18th, which is next month. Yeah. And my youngest is 2.5. Yes, she is a terrible 2. It's so much fun. She's adorable. And I accidentally became a trainer. I'd never intended to be a trainer. A friend asked for help and then I loved it. I'm an introvert. I'd been in one of her, like a boot camp class out in the park, like you had done.
Back in the day. Yeah.
I love exercising. I've always loved sport and exercising and pushing my body. And I can recall a time during this class, a particular class, thinking, I could not imagine being in the front of this class, all of these eyes looking at me, expecting me to know what to say and have the answer and guide them, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't that long afterwards that she was like, Kirst, can you help me run these? Because she was living in Whenuapai and we were on the North Shore and the travel was, it wasn't even petrol prices an issue. But and so I was being brave, and because I had studied outdoor rec, and I've been a swim coach and did Camp America kind of stuff. And so I was like, I'll give it a go. So I got qualified and I studied to do it and then gave it a go and absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Then it's just the beginning. So I took over.
Yeah.
She didn't want to do it anyway. She was pretty sneaky. So I took over.
She had a plan the whole time.
She totally had a plan. She stitched me. And I did some morning classes at our local primary school. And I'd been a trainer for 2 years.
Yeah.
And been all of the years training my body really hard and really well, because for me, exercise is closely connected to my mental health.
Yes.
And I feel I help combat stress with exercise. I feel like when I can push my body hard, it helps to strengthen my mental health. And it shows
in a resilience.
Yes, it shows me that I can do hard physical things and I can mentally, it just makes things easier. But as a result of that, and lack of knowledge on the female body and how to listen to my body, I injured myself tearing my linea alba, the connective tissue between my huge abs, right down the middle from this crazy burpee challenge that I did.
Oh, wow.
It was 100 burpees a day for 100 days.
Oh my God.
Some Aussie.
Why would you do that to yourself?
So, an Australian league player did it.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even remember who it was. And I thought, because I'm like also got 2 big brothers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, if he can do it,
I can do it.
Yeah. But I misunderstood the feeling in my stomach. I thought it was, I've got polycystic ovaries and I've always had gut issues. So I mistook the discomfort and sometimes minimal pain. I thought it was that. And I didn't realize that my soft tissue fibers weren't coping. So when I found this hideous injury, the dip in the middle of my tummy, I found out about a women's health physiotherapist because I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
So this is 7 years postpartum. So my eldest, this was 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. Ugh.
Time flies.
Thank you. Went to see this amazing physio, Sarah Manzel. I will put a Femi physio in Milford.
Love that.
She's amazing. And she showed me what I'd done to my stomach. She had to strap it up.
Wow.
It felt like it was gaping open, like it was
Wow.
So she did some K-tape back then.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks I had to wear it. And because women's health does pelvic floor as well, I was all cocky and I was like, nah, my pelvic floor are fine.
Yeah.
So she did an internal where she gets you to, puts her fingers in and gets you to squeeze and lift, cough, release, and do all of the things. And then she asked me to squeeze and lift and hold as long as I could. And I was so cocky. I was like,
I'm tough, I'm strong, I can do this.
I can hold for 10 seconds. And I didn't realize that from 5 seconds, I couldn't feel it. My pelvic floor were lowering.
Wow.
And I thought I was still holding them.
Oh, wow.
So I'd never leaked. I'd never had any heaviness or dragging, like no pain or discomfort or weakness feeling. But as a result of the core, my stomach issue, it was impacting my pelvic floor as well.
Wow.
And if I hadn't picked up on it, it would have kept going and then I would have had pelvic floor dysfunction. I would have started leaking and stuff. So I started specializing in the core because like I'm just going to say pelvic floor is not pretty.
No.
Talking about vaginas and leaking does not spread on social media and it's embarrassing. There's a huge shame around it.
And that's so what I'm hoping to open this conversation by us talking about it more, and us having this conversation today hopefully will start to lift that little bit of shame that women do feel around pelvic floor dysfunction and pelvic floor health, or even just getting assessed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I started a new mums class. I called it Type Mummy Tummy and Bits.
Love it. So good.
Yeah, Mummy Tummy and Bits. This is many years ago. And so I promoted, embarrassed to say, but I promoted, because when you have an ab separation, your stomach sticks out.
Yes.
And so to encourage women to come, I was like, I can help you flatten your tummy.
Yeah. You only know what you know back then, though. And I think what makes it an incredible professional is someone who learns along the way and looks back and goes, oh, I kind of did that a little bit wrong, but I'm owning that.
Yeah, I'm going to do it differently now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And from these classes, so I helped a huge amount of women, not just to close ab separations, but because closely linked in was a pelvic floor health.
Yes.
So in the class, we did a lot of deep core, which is pelvic floor, transverse ab, and there's the multivus on the back. And I guess I grew some balls. I'm someone who will fight for other people, especially women, way before I would fight for myself. And so from like one person's story is she used to be a powerlifter before kids.
Wow.
So her sport was powerlifting, and she prolapsed from powerlifting. And so what a prolapse is the pelvic floor sitting inside the pelvis. They support the bladder, the bowel, and the uterus, stabilize the pelvis. So this is just a little bit of what they do. And a prolapse is when one of the pelvic organs, the bladder, bowel, or uterus, drop. And they can drop a little bit, or they can drop a lot, and they can fall out.
You can actually see it though, right? Sometimes, like in your underwear.
Yeah, they can sit in your underwear, you can pop it back up, and you can also not feel it. But this woman before children prolapsed, and then when she came to see me, she had 2 children, and in her nappy bag, like I still get emotional now, in her nappy bag she had sanitary pads for herself.
Wow.
And she was changing 5 or 6 a day because she was leaking so much. So she would have had a bladder prolapse.
Oh my gosh.
If not other areas prolapsed. And so this is me, just a trainer, not a physio. From the work that I gave her to help with her pelvic floor function, she'd already been diagnosed from the physio. I still remember reading a message from her saying, Kirsten, I've just been to the mall for the first time. She'd been there for 2 hours and she had a dry pad, didn't need to change it.
Oh, that's life-changing.
Life-changing, yeah. So I grew some gonads. I got empowered to help impact and help more women because of, like you've mentioned, it's just not talked about and there's so much shame. And then from there I became super passionate and very vocal about pelvic floor. So I'm the pelvic floor trainer, the pelvic floor educator. So there was an Australian online education platform who reached out to me and said, will you write a pelvic floor course for trainers? So I've done a lot of educating. I've studied a lot.
You have?
I've studied heaps in Australia and in New Zealand and Canada and America. I keep upskilling. I've actually just bought a course to help old people.
I love that.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, pelvic floor, one of their jobs is pelvic stability. And I say old people. I'm not very PC, so I don't mean to put me.
You're so fine. Let's not worry about that.
But they need strong pelvic floor. They need functional pelvic floor. They need stability to stop falls, because if they fall, things don't turn out. It's just harder in their life. So I've got 2 courses at the moment in mine. I'm constantly, there's some like masters. It's just crazy, this next course that I've bought, because every educator has something different to add.
Yes.
They teach from a different angle. So that is how I became so passionate about helping. It started from that friend of mine who stitched me up.
Well, we love that friend, because thanks to you, there are a lot more personal trainers within New Zealand and Australia too, who are learning more about the pelvic floor and how important it is to understand the anatomy of it when they're working with clients. I mean, you've trained me in the pelvic floor. You've helped other people that I used to, that worked in my studio when I had it. And I know a lot of other trainers and not even trainers, osteopaths as well, who have done your course and learned from you. And it's so incredible. I've learned so much. What would you say, like, to the listener who has no idea what the pelvic floor, what its purpose is? How would you explain that to our listeners?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, the pelvic floor, I'm cupping my hands at the moment, is like a muscle that sits inside the pelvis from the pubic bone through to the tailbone, and it connects all the way around, and there's lots of different intricate muscles and layers. One of the most obvious jobs is the control of wheeze, poos, farts.
Yeah.
The leaking of any of those that is not, what is it called? Like, you haven't been given permission.
Oh, right.
Accidental.
Like if you just can't hold a fart in, but it comes out anyway.
Yes, that is your pelvic floor.
Yeah.
Not functioning well. So if your pelvic floor are doing really well, you control when you do wheeze and poos and fart. I was taught to fart outside or in the toilet.
Not in my family. We just did it whenever, even at the dinner table.
Oh my God. One of my brothers used to always do it in a cup and then
Oh my God.
in my face.
That's a typical brother move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the pelvic floor muscle, the health of it impacts the quality of sex we have.
Interesting.
Which then in turn can also impact the ease or dis-ease of using a tampon or a moon cup.
Yeah.
So if they're really tight, like you think of any tight muscle, putting anything in there is going to be uncomfortable or painful. And then if it's really loose, you won't feel anything or much. If there's a prolapse like we talked about, if you can picture the bladder is like a grapefruit.
Yeah.
And if part of the grapefruit is, can you say that?
Grapefruit.
Grapefruit.
I feel like Kiwi accent saying grapefruit doesn't sound like it should. Grapefruit.
And it's flopped. So say the right side is flopped and it flops down so that part of the bladder has wee in it that gets really acidic and it's hard to empty. And then that part of that bladder pushes into you've got next to it the vagina and the cervix area.
Yeah.
So that is going to push into where things insert.
Right.
And then if you've got the bowel at the back, which can be another grapefruit, it does the same for poo. It can be really hard to empty all the poo out, and it also pushes in there, which makes, life is too short and too stressful often to have bad sex.
Absolutely. I think it's really, having sex is a really healthy part of being a human.
It is.
We are mammals. Other mammals in the animal kingdom have sex. It's very important for us to also enjoy that pleasure, especially with the one you love, you know? So I think if someone was having sex and that was painful for them, what would be causing that, do you think? Or is that a sign to go and see a pelvic floor physio and get checked?
Absolutely. So first of all, I can't diagnose. So a women's health physiotherapist or a pelvic floor physiotherapist is a regular physio, so a musculoskeletal physio who's specialised in women's health.
Yes.
A pelvic floor physio sees men and women. A women's health physio sees women.
Yeah.
I want to be really clear here. In New Zealand, we do not have a full course on this area.
No.
You have to go to Australia. And if I'm correct, it's a 6-month master's that you have to move to Australia to do.
Oh, wow.
As an international student, and it's really expensive. In New Zealand, there's at least one amazing woman I know of who does short courses to help MSK physios, so musculoskeletal physios, upskill, and they're like weekend courses to learn how to go in the vagina and feel. Yeah.
It would take a few vaginas to actually assess, to probably understand and know what you're looking for.
Because we are all structurally built different. Some are longer, shorter,
heart-shaped.
Yes. So if sex is sore, I would go see a physio.
Yeah.
And check that physio. So if you're searching online, look up what makes them a women's health physio, because some people say they're a women's health physio because they like working with women.
Yes.
They haven't done any extra education.
Yes, and that's so important because they're specialising on that particular area of the body.
Yeah. And your one sign is you're going to be paying more.
Yeah.
We're worth it, girls, so please pay.
Yeah, it's an investment in your health.
Yep, so it will be over $100. Some of them are over $200. And it is, I'm just going to repeat what Ray said, Renee. It is an investment on your health. If something like guys would pay thousands of dollars to have great sex.
Absolutely. There's a lot out there for men to have great sex. How much money do they spend on having the perfect Viagra pill available for men every year?
So if sex is painful, I would seek help. I actually have another client example about painful sex.
Yeah, let's dive into it.
I had a woman, 63, who came for a one-on-one consult with me. Again, I'm just like to empower women who know how to do what they're doing, who I'm not a physio, right? So she came to see me and she's had painful sex since her first son was born.
And she's 63.
And he's 33.
Oh my God.
33 years of painful sex. And so I did no internal. I asked a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And then from what I know, I gave her advice and tips and exercises and stretches and relaxing, and she is now having pain-free sex. And because she also would leak wheeze when she got out of the swimming pool. Well, water.
Yeah.
And wheeze. And that's not happening anymore. So she's more confident. She's like beaming. She's, that connection with her husband.
Yeah. She can probably find the orgasm too.
Yeah, because you couldn't.
If you're having painful sex, how are you going to allow yourself to let go to actually fully experience an orgasm?
Yeah.
And again, that's part of living a healthy lifestyle is having good sex and having a good orgasm to go with it.
Yeah.
That poor woman.
Yeah. So there's two things there, I think, is that there's no age limit to improving the quality and function of your pelvic floor. And if something isn't right, if your body is saying it's pain, then we've got it. Your body's talking to you, in any part of our body, if it's saying there's pain here, then we need to seek help. And it's just knowing who to go to for that help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When your body's in pain, it's signaling you, it's trying to communicate with you, hey, something's not quite right. But I feel like a lot of women, especially in this woman in her 60s, for example, has probably just been taught to push through, get over it. It's just how it is. And I feel like a lot of women have had that message communicated to them their whole lives. Oh, it's normal to be in pain as a woman. It's just the way it is. Get on with it.
No pain, no gain.
Yeah. And that is further from the truth, right? So experiencing pain during sex is an indicator you need to go and see a pelvic floor physio and make sure they're women's health specialized and they've been educated in pelvic floor to get the help. What would you say are other signs and symptoms of pelvic floor dysfunction or weakness in the pelvic floor?
If you leak wheeze, if you leak poos, if you have sudden urgency to rush to the toilet, whether you make it there on time or you don't, if you go to the toilet a lot, like really frequently, which is more than once every 2 hours. And then around that, like I just had my third coffee of the day. No judgment.
No, not at all. You have 3 kids, perimenopause.
Yeah, we didn't even throw in perimenopause yet. And like I know caffeine is one of the things that aggravate the bladder. And so I know that I've gone to the toilet twice with only an hour's gap.
Yeah.
And so I know why
that is.
Why it is. It's because of the coffee. And I'm like, I need the coffee. So, I could go, I could talk so much about this. So first, you can look at why it's happening. And then there's more of if you cannot lift or feel a connection with your pelvic floor muscles, if there is scarring or damage, if you've got numbness down there, if you have. So when I hurt my stomach, I had like my right hip was impacted and connected with my pelvic floor.
Well, that makes sense because everything's like attached to the pelvis area.
Yeah. If you have tailbone pain, your pelvic floor muscles are connected to your tailbone. Yes. You do need someone so they go through the anus and they can fix the tailbone, which will likely correct the pelvic floor. Lower back pain is closely linked with pelvic floor instability or pain. And the trouble is when we're loose, so when our pelvic floor muscles are weak, they're not strong enough to hold our bladder load and we leak. Yeah. Right? From coughing or jumping or skipping or laughing.
Even sneezing.
Yeah. Having a good laugh with the girls. But then also if we're tight, they leak because this muscle is contracted constantly and there's no movement through your breath. And so you also leak. So that is why in your myth busting, when you ask if Kegels are the answer, it's like, if you're leaking, just doing Kegels is not the answer.
No.
Because if you're leaking because you're tight, Kegels are going to make you tighter and your symptoms will get worse. Why don't you share what Kegels are in case your listeners don't know what they are?
Well, from my understanding, because I've never used Kegels, I've never been interested in them. But what I understand is they're like these little balls that you put inside your vagina or something and you're supposed to squeeze them and let them go. Is that right?
Well, those are Kegel balls.
Kegel balls, right.
Kegels are named by someone, Mr. Kegel.
Oh, a man. Oh, okay.
And they are the pelvic floor exercise.
Right, so the squeeze and release and the squeeze got you.
So do not know the man's first name, but it is, if someone talks about a Kegel, they generally mean a pelvic floor contraction.
Right. See, I would just call it a pelvic floor contraction. But
yes, of course you would. But
fine.
if you Googled it.
Yeah, okay. Well, that makes sense, because I always thought that the Kegels were like Kegel balls that you would put inside and you'd have to hold them, release them.
They're his balls.
Yeah,
He's
earning millions of dollars off women's pelvic floor dysfunction, like every other female need. Most beauty businesses are owned by men. Go figure. But I always remember my mum talking about Kegels. And I don't know if she was meaning from a point of view of having like a better healthy pelvic floor, or if it was just to have better sex. I don't know.
You have to ask her one day over dinner.
Yeah, I will. Well, with the pelvic floor being either super tight or super loose, what causes the super tight pelvic floor? Like, how does that become the dysfunction for someone?
Oh, so many things. Okay, so we're just going to outlay females are complicated.
Yeah, they are.
We are, and we're all unique.
Yeah.
We talked about that. You know how when we're stressed, we can often carry stress in our neck, and we don't breathe well, and our breath gets higher.
All the chest, it becomes very chesty.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we can go to the massage therapist and relieve our stress and be like, I hold tension up here.
Mm-hmm.
Here is also holding tension in your pelvic floor.
Yeah.
So our nervous system is linked really closely with our pelvic floor.
Absolutely.
So women who are stressed have rushing woman syndrome, anxiety. I know, we're just going to go take
Yeah.
You know, like you might go, oh, that breath felt great. When did I last breathe?
Yeah, absolutely.
So all of those things can accidentally cause your pelvic floor to get too tight.
Which we call hypertonic, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember.
And then if you want to be like me, and I had weak pelvic floor unknowingly, and then I'm training women with their pelvic floor, and every time I'm coaching pelvic floor breath, I'm doing mine as well.
Yes.
And then I'm doing my own mahi, pelvic floor work over here, and then I got too tight from doing it too much.
Just like overtraining in the gym, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so that one's quite common of people in the industry of what I do.
Yeah.
And then another one is where, so a really good pelvic floor contraction is squeeze, lift, more than 5 seconds, fully release, and let go.
Yes.
And sometimes people just lift and never let go.
Which makes sense for it to be, to cause it to be quite tight, right? Because they're not able to release.
Yeah, because then they lift again and they lift again and they lift again. And all of the talk about having strong pelvic floor is getting them stronger and stronger and stronger, where it starts with our breath. And if our breath is amazing and the way we breathe is not up in our upper rib cage, but it's lower ribs and belly, our core cylinder moves our pelvic floor up and down beautifully. Yeah. So just thinking if there's any others. I think that's off the top of my head. There's lots of ways we can.
Definitely. Well, breath work, I think, is the most important thing to start with when you start any training journey, especially if you're postpartum, you've just had a baby. The first thing you could focus on is your breathing, making sure it's coming from the space you talked about, from the lower rib cage and the belly. I do also see people doing breath work now, but it's like they're forcing it into their belly. So there can be issues with that too. And we need to teach people how to breathe properly. And that's probably like step one, right? For improving your pelvic floor health and improving your body and able to get it to move would be the breath work side of things. Breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, really important. Being in a calm space to be able to connect to your body and breath. So that would be stage one. What's the next step? Because this is probably what a lot of people are thinking. They're going, well, my pelvic floor probably sounds a bit dysfunctional. What do I do next? I got to get my breathing under control. Then what does someone need to do?
And this, obviously, you've booked an appointment with a physio.
You've been told you're either hyper or hypotonic.
Or you've prolapsed.
Or
you've got urgency or frequency. So you can actually, so if you're at home, in privacy of your own home, you can get your fingers down there yourself.
Yep.
Right? What you're wanting to feel is, I've got to let you know.
Yeah. Tell us.
The more I learn, the more I overthink. And then I freak out that, oh my gosh, I've prolapsed. Oh my gosh, I've got this dysfunction. And then I keep going to my physio and she's like, Kirsten, you're fine.
You got a great vagina. It's all good.
And I'm like, but I got my husband to check. And she's like, okay, he's there for one thing. Thing only.
Keep him out of there to check the pelvic floor dysfunction.
Yeah. So I do advise that the ladies do it themselves and not get someone else.
They'll probably start freaking out that they're finding something that they...
Well, they don't know what to feel
No,
for.
they don't.
Okay, so you've got your fingers in there, in your vagina, and you're wanting the vagina to squeeze. Can I do this on your fingers?
Go for it, yeah.
Can I?
Go for it, because we're filming this too, so we'll be out. Yeah,
fantastic. I've never done this on anyone else today.
I love it.
I feel like
I feel special. We're connecting on a deeper level here.
I've actually got tears coming.
Okay.
I like that Renee did 2 fingers.
2's better than 1, isn't it?
All right.
Oh, I love it.
So we're going to squeeze.
Yeah.
And I think on your exhale too, we've got to do breath first, but just to look at the movement, it's squeeze, lift up, lower all the way back down and release. Because if I just say, I want you to do it without you having that physical feedback, it can be like, well, I don't know. What am I feeling? And often it's their stomach or they clench their glutes.
Yes.
So it's
which is a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't feel comfortable, because not everybody feels comfortable doing an internal, and say this is your vagina, you can put your hand firmly against yourself and maybe cough or push down as though you're trying to push out a poo or a fart, but don't. And you'll feel the muscle push down against you. So okay, that's what I don't want to feel.
Yeah, okay.
And you should be able to feel a slight lift away.
Right, okay. I'm literally sitting here
right
now, playing around with my pelvic floor muscles internally, right? Yeah, okay.
So what you're looking to not happen is that you just squeeze and it doesn't move anywhere else.
Yeah, okay.
You don't want it to squeeze and push out.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was holding for 10 seconds, you can think you're lifting, but unless you've got that other feedback to feel, am I pulling away or am I pushing out? You could accidentally be pushing out, which will make you worse, your symptoms worse. So you want to feel that, and then you want to feel the full release.
Yeah.
So if you are tight and you go, I'm trying to release, I'm trying to relax, and it's not dropping, right?
Yeah.
Keep breathing.
Yeah.
So when we do a Kegel, we would inhale, release, relax, exhale, squeeze, lift with nothing else moving.
Yeah. Not moving your glutes on the floor.
I did my eyebrow lifts.
I love it.
It totally does. Shoulders want to stay down and relax, and you're trying to downplay all the rest of the muscles and just I call them the girls, give them some attention and lift. Are you lifting with me?
Yeah, I am right now.
And release all the way down. And if you struggle to release, just go, I'm going to keep breathing. Inhale, release, relax. Exhale, keep relaxing. Inhale, release, relax. Exhale, relax. Instead of exhale, lift, inhale, release.
Yeah.
Because if you do this and you're a slower releaser, you'll get tighter and tighter and you'll drop not as low each time. So it is honestly so complicated and technical. And then there's the fast twitch muscle. So this is the slow, I'm going to keep her dry all day.
Yeah.
She cruises around her life. And then that stress incontinence, which is the sudden cough, sneeze, laugh, jump, skip. What else do we do?
Just even quick movements. I guess if your kids Mum, can you run and get that? And you go,
you've got to dive.
Oh, shit. Now I'm wet myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the fast twitch where you do want it to go quickly, but you're guided by weak pelvic floor is like a sloth going boop.
Yeah.
And then it can drop quite quickly. But a tight pelvic floor comes up fast.
Can't release.
Can't release. And so it's slower. And then if you're like King Capisi, you can be like, I'm awesome. I'm moving my hand.
Yeah.
So it is more technical. But that is the start with your breath. I call it the reset position. If you're lying down, feet, knees are hip width apart, knees are bent, arms are relaxed, neck and spine are straight. I would say about 90% of people that's the easiest way for them to feel it. A rearing wink is also good. So like an anal wink, squeeze and lift up towards the belly button and then release back down. And then if you're like, man, I just can't feel it, I've done the hands-on thing, the finger thing, then go seated.
Yeah.
Because there is a small percentage who sit and go, straight away they feel it and they get it.
Yeah.
And then once you've got that really good mind-body connection, the neuro pathway has been laid down and you can feel it more easily, we need to be able to do this standing because that is most often the time we're leaking.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
But then you've got gravity because the pelvic floor are holding those pelvic organs, but they're also holding the body weight, everything from the pelvis up.
Yes.
So you're lifting up against that. So exhale, lift.
Exhale, lift.
Exhale, lift.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great tool. And I'm sure everyone listening is probably playing around with doing that right now as we're describing it. I definitely was sitting there going, okay, can I do this? Okay, things feel all right. Thank you. Thank God. When it comes to exercise and women who have pelvic floor dysfunction, what should they be being mindful of when they want to start an exercise journey or they are exercising and they're just being put off because of the confidence they no longer have based on their pelvic floor? What do they need to be doing?
You can, when you're doing cardio, you don't want to think about any pelvic floor contraction at all.
Yeah.
You just want to do the cardio. And so if you're doing any type of cardio you enjoy and that's causing any pelvic floor dysfunction, so the prolapse feeling, if you're wondering, how do I know? There's the heaviness, the dragging, the bulging, the having trouble emptying wheeze or poos. You can leak farts and they can be heavy. Your pelvic floor can be heavy to lift. Yeah. So I'm just thinking so that you all know what symptoms to look out for. It's not just leaking.
Yeah.
So if you're leaking during cardio, stop. And then, because I'm like an advocate for let's do what we love.
Yeah.
Let's just look at how we can do it. So you can look at, if you were only leaking at night, do your cardio in the morning.
Yes.
Does that solve the problem? Because when we wake up, they're as fresh as they're going to be.
Yeah.
If you're leaking and you've been, say, running for an hour, run for less time.
Yeah.
Running uphill is easier on pelvic floor muscles.
Okay.
If you're leaking running downhill, walk downhill because that is the hardest impact on your pelvic floor muscles with the pounding.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if you're leaking during cardio, please stop. If you keep going, like I'm pretty blunt, it will get worse.
Yeah.
It doesn't, us Kiwis who just say she'll be right or suck it up.
It's not always the case.
It is not. So peel back, strength training will help you get into the cardio you enjoy. So if running, for example, is your form of fun and you're leaking when you run, change maybe from running and do something else so that you get that adrenaline, you keep your cardiovascular system going really well and work on your pelvic floor. Running on a treadmill is softer than the concrete.
Yes.
Running on grass is softer. So it could be
just changing what you're doing to meet where you're at.
Yeah, there's tits over toes as well. So if we're running upright, it is more downward pressure on pelvic floor. But if you lean your chest over so that your
tits are over your toes.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's easier on your pelvic floor.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's a great golden nugget.
Yeah.
Tits over toes. Especially for everyone that's getting into running these days.
Yeah. I got that from Brianna Battles. She's Canadian, I think, or American. And then that is the only time you shouldn't think about your pelvic floor. If you remember what we started with, it's breath.
Yes.
So what you do want to think about during cardio is your breath.
Yeah.
Because if we hold our breath, it causes intra-abdominal pressure, which pushes the core in and down the pelvic floor. So you could be like, oh my gosh, I was leaking because I was sucking at breathing.
Yeah. Holding my breath.
Yeah. Or breathing really shallow. Now I'm breathing well. I'm not leaking anymore. That could be the thing.
So it could also be like scaling back how far you're running, how long you're running for, and just running with the capacity your body has, breathing well and not leaking to help improve how you feel when you're running.
Yeah, and intensity.
Yeah.
And then in our strength training or any other type of training, that can be our pelvic floor contraction time.
Yeah.
Like just doing Kegels is not the answer.
No. It's a gateway into...
It is a necessity. It's a foundation into it. So if you're leaking when you're lifting, it's too heavy, or you're going too deep, or you're not connecting with your pelvic floor and using them. So I strongly believe in, again, I'm not PC, training to the weakest link. And so looking at what your weakest link is. Is it an injury? So pelvic floor dysfunction is an injury.
Yeah.
Like my bung finger, my bung knee, my bung shoulder. Perimenopause, there's a lot of bungness going on. And so any pelvic floor dysfunction is just another injury.
Yeah.
And so I can't play touch because I've got no stability in my knee. If I continued playing touch, my knee would get worse and worse and worse.
Yes.
It's the same with pelvic floor. If you continue doing the thing that your pelvic floor ain't coping with, they will get worse.
They'll get worse.
So my advice in any kind of exercise that you're doing, let's look at when you're leaking. Remember the time of the day. You can also trick the girls.
Yeah.
Like, it's really cool. So if you mix up upper body, lower body, if you mix up a bit of cardio with some weights, if you rest them.
Yeah.
So if you like skipping for some ungodly known reason and you want to skip for 2 minutes because it's part of boxing. Often a big part of boxing is skipping for 2 minutes. I don't know who started
Fitness,
that.
good for Achilles, I don't know, whatever.
But it does cause, skipping is a big leaker.
Yeah.
But you could skip for 30 seconds and then do something different like squats and then go back to skipping. So you can block it up and trick your pelvic floor or give them a break.
Yes.
And like this is honestly so technical that I'm trying to give you some tips.
These are great though, because I mean, and I think in general as women, we feel like when we're training, we have to just power through and go fast and get it done. And like there's power in actually resting in between your sets, not just for the pelvic floor, but for your muscle recovery. So you can actually push it just as hard in your next set. So even more reason to slow it down.
Yeah. So if you are at the depths of your press up and you can't lift your pelvic floor, then that's a sign.
Yeah.
And that's where you go back to, can I do it lying down?
Yes.
Have to do that neuro pathway and get that physical mind-body connection. And the depth of your squat and the depth of, like, as you push a weight over your head, you exhale to support and brace.
Yes.
And then inhale, like breath.
Yeah.
Use it with it.
It's always coming back to the breathing, the nervous system, the connection. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I'm so big on hope. So if you have a dysfunction, you've got an injury and you can't do X, Y, Z that you absolutely love, it doesn't mean that that's going to be forever.
Yeah.
So if you peel it back, I'm going to have surgery on my knee. I'm prehabbing right now.
Yeah.
So if you know you have a dysfunction, pull it back.
Yeah.
Do that work you can do until you get to see the physio. And then she's going to give you exactly what you need to get you to be able to do the thing that you love. So just know, because if I think of the athlete mindset, right, we're like, screw it. I don't want to face it. I don't want to go see someone to diagnose me because then they're going to tell me I can't do X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just speaking for myself.
Yeah.
But if we can just get out of our own butts and go big picture, I'm not training for the Olympics. I'm going to get there again.
Yes.
But just trust the process to be able to get there. Then we will get there quicker.
Absolutely.
And the sooner from any injury, the sooner you go in and get help, the quicker you're going to recover. The longer you live with an injury, often, not just the longer you recover from that injury, but our body is so connected.
Mm-hmm.
We go, oh, I'm sore here. So you overuse your other arm and then that gets sore. Yep. So you've got more than one injury.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with so much, and then your body actually creates this like comfortable feeling with feeling the pain.
Yeah.
And it remembers it.
Yeah.
And your injury could even be, let's say, getting better, but the pain's still there because it lives in the body and you've never dealt with it.
Yeah. Which causes more stress.
Yes.
It just is a big cycle. So.
It is. So get seen to, get it checked. Don't be afraid. I mean, I think there's probably a lot of women here that are listening that are either mums or not mums. Let's talk about the ones who are not mums for a second, because I feel like they kind of think, well, I haven't had children, so I don't need to worry. But, as we said at the beginning, that's actually a myth. So what is it about the ones who haven't had children that they need to be mindful of when it comes to their pelvic floor?
Yeah, so our pelvic floor an amazing muscle. Can't remember if I said, but males have pelvic floor too.
Yep.
Women have pelvic floor. We have way more pelvic floor dysfunction because we're way more amazing.
Yes.
And our pelvic floor goes through way more than a male's pelvic floor do. So they work really well and they do their job really well until they're not, because they're pushed past their limits.
Mm-hmm.
So sports like gymnastics, basketball, dancing, trampolining, diving, like things that I mentioned before, intra-abdominal pressure, which actually could be sucking your stomach in because we're told we should have a flat stomach.
Absolutely. I reckon that's a bit of my problem with my back pain.
Yeah.
Is that for so long I was always trying to look like I had a flat stomach and suck in. So you suck in everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Because you've got to look skinny. You've got to fit this facade that we think women need to have it into.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh. So there's the sports that are any jumping, pounding, breath holding. Like we do have to hold our breath to lift, and we do have to hold our breath for
certain things.
Moments of stability.
Yeah.
But when we're doing it ongoing and that pounding is happening on our pelvic floor that they're just not coping with anymore, that's where dysfunction starts.
Yeah.
Chronic constipation. So anybody can have chronic constipation from any age.
Can be a nervous thing too, right? Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of kids don't like to go wheeze at school or poos at school.
Yeah.
So if you're a student and you're highly stressed, we've talked about what can cause the girls to be tight.
Yeah.
Sexual assault can cause pelvic floor dysfunction. And then there's that, so I love the empowerment. There's that cocaine skinny, hideous thing.
Yeah.
And then there's that you should look like a big, buff, strong athlete.
Yeah.
Right? And not like a normal woman like we are. And so if you're training hard and you're pushing and you're pushing and you're pushing and you're not understanding how to tune in and listen to your whole body, then at any age and stage of life, any area of your body will break.
It'll let you know.
Yeah. And so there's the under-eating, overtraining reds, right?
Yep.
So we get stress on our body because we're not eating enough, because we're supposed to be thin or have our muscles seen. Like we're so strong and muscly, we just have natural woman fat covering it.
Which is a really important system in itself.
It is 100%. And so for anybody who is living in that disordered eating or the overtraining, under-eating.
Trying to be an athlete when you are not, you don't need to be like that.
Not listening. Because, the more we train, the more we need to sleep and rest and eat well and fuel our body. Yeah. And if we're not giving our body what it needs to recover from the training, then it's going to put our body under stress.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
everyone's trying to be an athlete, but they're not actually acting like one. Because an athlete who was, let's say, training for the Olympics would have a recovery coach, a nutritionist, a physiotherapist, a GP, like a sports medical doctor. They would have a whole team making sure they're recovering well and fueling well to perform at their best.
Yeah.
But now we've got everyday people trying to be an athlete but not behave like one.
Yeah. And they're like, I know I'm not sleeping enough.
Yeah. I mean, you have a toddler and a teenager.
2 teenagers.
Yeah, 2 teenagers and a toddler.
And sleep is crucial, absolutely crucial. The amount that we repair while we're sleeping. And like I said, our pelvic floor function is at its best after an amazing night's sleep.
It is.
And if we're not getting that, so girls, there is 1 in 10 of all Kiwis who have pelvic floor dysfunction.
Yeah, wow. That's a huge
It's
amount.
a huge number. And more and more it actually is happening younger. There is a free site called Continence New Zealand.
Cool.
I'm just going to say it's not an amazingly easy site to navigate around. They're a non-profit, so if you are loaded, please do donate to them.
Yes, because the more donations we receive in women's health, the more we can fund studies and the more we can do the work so that we can help women.
Yes. And Continence New Zealand help anybody in New Zealand with incontinence, but there's really good resources on there. There's actually a helpline you can call and you'll get a continence nurse and ask for help.
Wow.
So that's free. If you can't afford to see a physio, you go, oh my gosh, I listened to this podcast, I've got questions, ring up and ask and share your personal story, because every single body is different and unique, and we all have different body makeup and chemistry and health history and injuries and what we're living with. Like we were talking about how busy work is, how busy family is, how busy, right now there's stress with finances, with money, with the economy, bringing it all back. And we've both got busy children who have their activities and stuff. So, get help if you need to, and no one is excluded from this situation.
No, absolutely.
Actually, another scary number is 80% of us will have pelvic floor dysfunction in our lifetime.
Yeah, wow, that's huge.
So even if you're not living with it now,
it could happen.
Yeah, and talking about it is super helpful.
Yeah.
Sharing it, not being shameful, but talking and going, hey, listen to this chat. Have you experienced any of this? And in a like totally cool way. Like, hey, we're really cool.
Yeah, totally. We're really cool. We're talking about vaginas and poos and prolapses and
erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, but it's all really important stuff. And it's things we need to normalize in conversation with women. Even chatting to a friend and being like, so have you ever thought about your pelvic floor and what could be going on? Does it hurt when you have sex? Because it hurts when I have sex. Like, normalizing these kinds of conversations, they're not shameful. We're human. And we're all doing this human experience together. And as women, we are very understudied. There's still a lot more to figure out. So it's important that we have these conversations so that we can learn with each other. Because if the scientists ain't going to fund it, well, you know, the big companies that fund the scientists to do the studies ain't going to fund it. We're going to have to do the work together. Yeah, absolutely. It's such an important conversation and it's so empowering, and it's been so empowering having you here. I would like to ask you one final question, well, more of a statement, but what is one thing you have to say to women that is like your key takeaway about, I guess, the key thing you have to say to women about pelvic floor health, or even just in general, something, leave us with something.
Oh, God. That's big. The one key thing, Renee.
I mean, there's multiple key things, but like right now, what comes to the heart? What's coming to your mind?
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably that you're worth it.
Yeah, I love that.
Whatever it is that you need to research or look into or get help, you are worth it, because we prioritize everybody else ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
We put money aside for our kids. We'll take our husband or our kid to get things done, or we'll say, oh yeah, I need to do that, but then it gets pushed to the side because other more seemingly urgent or important things come up. But yeah, you're worth it.
You're worth it. I love that. It's such a powerful statement, because a lot of women will put off investing in their own health before others, like you say, but you can't pour from an empty cup. And there are a lot of women today running around on absolute empty. So put yourself first, make that appointment with your pelvic floor physio. I'm going to link a whole lot of links in the show notes below. I'm going to link all of Kirsten's details, socials, where to find her, and also some pelvic floor women's health specialists that we both recommend. But
can I also say thank you, Renee? If you, just to empower you, like empowering as many wahine in New Zealand as possible to let you know that if you're working with a trainer or you follow someone online and you do that type of
program or something,
that person, when we get qualified, we're not taught this. So your trainer doesn't know this stuff. Your midwife actually doesn't know a lot of this stuff. I'm super excited that I'm writing a course for midwives.
Yes, amazing.
To link that, to bridge that gap postpartum. So ask them if they have, and if they haven't, go, oh, have you heard of Kirsten Campbell?
Yeah.
She's got these courses. And your trainer doesn't often know that they need to know this stuff.
Absolutely.
Like, I didn't know until I got injured. So I'm really grateful for the awful injury that I carry for life, but I know how to function with it.
Yes.
So that would be, please ask, because again, because it can be, you don't want to offend your trainer. Yeah.
But it's important, I think, which is why I did your course, and I've sat on it again. Like, I've done it pretty much twice, and it's just every time it's even more valuable because you've learned more and added more, and I think it's so important as health professionals. And when you're choosing a health professional, they choose to upskill, they choose to understand the body they're working with, whether that be the female body, the male body, but specifically on the podcast, we're talking to women and they understand these different functions. I think it's a really important question to ask, for sure.
Yeah.
And if you're unsure that your trainer has any understanding of pelvic floor dysfunction, it's okay to go and ask help from someone who specializes in certain things that you need. You don't just have to go to the same person to get all your answers.
Absolutely.
There are specialists in every field. It's like staying in your lane, right? So if you feel like you need specific help, find the person in that niche who can help you.
That's right. Yeah. And that goes along with menopause. Our pelvic floor impacted heavily by menopause. with age, with pregnancy, with the postpartum stage, with the stress, different stages through our cycle. That is why I'm so passionate, and I feel very fortunate to be able to do this studies and educating for Kiwis. This is where my heart is, to help women be seen and heard and understood better.
Absolutely. And you do such a great job at that.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. If you're a PT and you're listening to this, or any kind of health professional, you definitely need to check out the links in the show notes below, because you need to book yourself into one of Kirsten's courses and learn more about the pelvic floor. It definitely changed my perspective on training women. I now get all my women to do breath work. It's one of the first things they do before they start training with me, is we learn how to breathe. And I think, having done that course really helped me to understand that importance of having that connection when you're training your body. And it's helped a lot of women, definitely, that I've worked with too. So thank you so much, Kirsten. It's been amazing. Thank you all so much for listening, and I look forward to having you all in the next episode. Thanks for listening to the Well Body podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a review or share it with someone who needs to hear it. You can find more support, resources, and information on my website at www.beyondthebody.co. Until next time, I look forward to having you in the next episode.